All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So there's various types of organized crime entities in the world, and the church is no different. The Gurdwaras, obviously Yogi Bhajan was running some sort of organized crime and racketeering entity. Right. Well, in the old days, they call it cult. The world's a cult, so it's not what we're looking at. If they want to just do their religious thing and be a cult, fine. Right. But what we're talking about at this point is organized crime and racketeering. What they'll do is say, well, they're just a cult when they get there. It's called RICO insulation. It's what I called it, and I haven't said it in years. So people are obtaining RICO insulation. Believe it or not, one of the RICO insulation tactics is to say that it's law enforcement or neighborhood watch, and it's what it really is RICO insulation. And dirty cops developed it. And what they'll do is they'll make everybody believe that you need it or you're going to go to prison. Right. We know what you all did, or you'll be ruined as a preacher. So they'll bring them in. Now, sometimes, preacher might be looking because he's been part of it in his life. Some of these people, their whole family life has been this since they were kids. I believe the FBI was taken over by those type of families, and Jonathan Luna's lady friend in the FBI may have been part of such a family. Just another organized crime entity, but they believe that they're the rich people. I grew up in Pennsylvania in a location where one of the more respected people on our block was a wealthy man who was supposedly an inventor. He was a bookie. Okay, that's the game they're playing. Right. And he stayed away, most likely he stayed away from the people that were part of it. They probably lived in Southampton, which is not Warminster. He was one of the wealthier people that lived in Warminster. Most of your wealthy people lived in Southampton. Right. So most likely that was a ploy so he wouldn't be around those people. It may have been It may have been Jewish mafia type of thing. He was Jewish. So what they're doing is they're owning your community is what they're doing in these more covert ones. The overt ones are actually less to worry about, but you have to ask yourself a question. Why wasn't that when Kingdom Come or whatever it was called, the latest organized crime and racketeering religion thing allowed to go for so long? Let's see if I can find the name of that. Most likely RICO insulation, deep state. Right. They're killing me, but this guy's doing all the type of things to say, insinuate that I would do if I were in his position, or even if I was just a lay person at a church. Right. Now, you damn well know that's not my psychology. Right. Is that his home? Is that really his freaking home? What's a church building? Well, the idea of this, the big problem of this one is it existed so overtly. This is an overt one. And they love arresting the overt ones, so you say, well, we're not like that, obviously, right? The overt ones are part of an entity that will give them position and corporation and things such as that. I'll just back this up. So I'll tell you why we're moving in this direction at this point, we being God, LDS not being God. Okay, it's that simple. I went online, I got the blip to Google what's happening in the LDS church as far as other people. I went in with very little information. Somewhere in the middle of it, something had me look something up about people that were disgruntled. And I just put it at that, disgruntled, because, that's all I had. Right. Seemed to be, in early on, somewhat honest. Weird but honest. Right. Makes sense. Well, it's whatever happens. Not everybody's treated that way. You're not going to put that on me. Right. See? They're acting like it's normal to do that. That's part of the RICO, racketeering. So they have reconciliation because somebody somewhere told them to do it. This is the scam, to protect the church. I'm sure they're going to use that. Well, there's one person that protects the church, and that's God. And God would not have you do that. Thank you. In fact, their goal was to get me into their houses, and then so they could allege things. It's just false statements. They make false statements all day, just like Jussie Smollett, but worse, because they make it about a specific person that they set up. Now, there were people around me. I wasn't sure who they were. I only met so many of the missionaries. Now, they could have been dirty police, but I was the age of the, and they made, again, the dirty police may want to look like the LDS. So I don't know which one it was, but the church definitely stalked me and wanted me to know they were stalking and trying to what appeared to be extort me. I use the word church very loosely, but a church doesn't really exist. Jesus never used the word church. Rabbi Shaul, who you all call Paul, never used the word church. A church doesn't exist within Rabbi Yeshua ben David, within Shaul, within Kepha. No such thing exists. Just a bunch of Jewish guys living a Jewish life. In fact, Peter, when he received the command about unclean things being clean when God cleans them, he was broken up over it. His whole life, he lived by the Jewish law. Even though he knew Yeshua ben David and said, you're forgiven for your infractions, don't let somebody hold that over to your head on this planet. It's a scam. Right. So I'm being stalked by several little older than college age people. First, they used a woman in the church wearing shorts. Now, it wasn't shorts, but she was wearing shorts. And she went off. The next thing I see, I didn't think nothing of it. And then she walked right past me, and then she starts talking to this black guy. And that's what the deep state does. So I know she's in contact with the deep state. Right. Now, I'm sure they're conservatives. They'll tell they probably donated to Trump with what money? Maybe even drug money. Because this is where I'm trying to explain to you what's going on. They're affiliated with wealthy narcotics distributors, wealthy sex traffickers, whether they know it or not. In fact, those people could be those people. And the dirty cops around here, organized crime is the rule. Organized crime and racketeering, that includes narcotics distribution and sex trafficking. This is where the wealthy dealers live. Remember Deputy U.S. Marshal Matt Fogg? He broke the news that Marshal Service was bigots with badges. And it was true. It's one of the reasons they took me out, because I wasn't. Again, it's another one of those Serpico scenarios. You're like, what? I have to be a bigot? Right. And I guess I believe LDS is really bigoted. It's just they got their we got to organize racketeering, very intelligent organization. We have to have some black people, some people of color, and they do have a lot of Latinos, but again, they would probably consider them white. So there's a concern that these other elements aren't even associated. There's a black church a black LDS element because they're the Africans. Yeah, they speak another language, but look, isn't that great? You got token black people in your church, and they don't even worship with you. They worship with the other black people. Right. Latino is almost the same, but they do mix a little bit. They'll get you a job in a corporation. They'll get you a position in the church. Well, based upon what everybody else was saying, I'm not crazy. There's already allegations all online. The thing is, I had to get to a place where I could find it, or God could find it, right, and use it. The allegations are organized crime and racketeering and stalking. That's what today's organized crime and racketeering. That's how they enforce with stalking. But when you try to get a job, when you try to go to the church, they're there. Now you say, "Well, I have nothing to do with narcotics distribution and sex trafficking." No, you do. That's who you all are, and most of you will go to hell. There's no way out. It's funny because their leadership goes, "We won't talk about the people going to hell because they're so small a number." Well, I'm not too sure it's the number they believe it is. Because if anybody is part of that organized crime and racketeering effort, whether you call it neighborhood watch or not, is going to hell. God is not mocked. You're not going to take a religion developed by God, manipulated into organized crime and racketeering, which includes murder, psychological murder. I don't know how many people the LDS have suicided out, but those are psychological murders. They are murder one. They are premeditated. In fact, when you want to get the big money, that's what you have to do. You have to go through one of those psychological operations where they murder somebody with suicide or something such as that. Or they go out and they commit suicide by cop. These are all demonic possessions. Sexual operations are demonic possession. If they weren't, what would happen? Sexual crimes would disappear. Right. So what they're doing to their victim is constantly sexually touching them, bringing new people, not testing them, using a time-tested CIA operation of sexualizing a victim. It's also casting spells. It's not just psychology. There is no psychological operation that doesn't include the casting of a spell. A projection of your will for a change in your victim is a spell, is a curse, is an incantation, is an attempt to possess the mind of another person. It's direct possession of mind. That's what she was after. That's what they were after. That's not God. Oh, it's God more. No, it's not God. See, that's where they are. Their criminal enterprise is now God and acts of God. We agree. The police departments around here are filthy. Nobody cares. That's fine. You that don't care, we'll go to hell. Well, why would we go to hell? We're not like them. Look at the scriptures. Given much. Now, they might go to a further hell, a worse hell. Right. But you're going to at least the basic hell. Wasting your time in church, I'm telling you right now, you are part of the unforgivable set. The unforgivable set on this planet. If they could make me that guy that abducted, which it makes being plain English there because the detectives are getting nervous, they're projecting spells. They're behind cloaking mechanisms listening. If they could force me to be the guy that abducted Elizabeth Smart, they would. So the question is, did they? I don't know the history of that guy. That's what their goal is. Big money. They'll be a CEO. They'll be a president in the church. It's all a big scam. They get you in there and they see what money they can make off of you. Which means drug dealers are coming there and go, money. But what's a drug dealer do today? Uses a church member, uses a cop. That's how they do it. And even if this is all illegal, at least we're stopping the people in the streets that are killing people. We're a white collar drug distributor and drug smuggler. We're a white collar sex trafficker because we're not killing people and we're not using drugs. And I'm sure some of them do. Right. There's no sorry in what any of you did. You're ready to do it all over again. I know how you all are. Just have to give me the right amount. Bing, there it is. They upped it. They doubled our pay. Now, what's very troubling is they have a ton of young women and also a ton of Latino young women from foreign countries. And we know what that could be. My only question in the Sikhs was the guy that was telling me that I was too old for her, did he have a sexual thing going on? Right. Well, I wasn't even thinking about that. I mean, she was, and I could read that, but I'm like, 24 is a little bit young right now. Right. But I was comforting this woman because she was sexually abused by the cult. I actually happened to be there when a woman that was sexually abused by a member of their cult, like a CEO of some Sikh organization, Yogi Bhajan Sikh, like business entity that she was working for, like the 3HO. And she bugged out when she figured she was being sexually abused at a certain point. Right? She fell for it a little bit, and she got out of there. And and I'm the person she spoke to because I'm probably the only person that isn't like, "Hey, baby," right? I mean, not only person, but she spent time trying to know me, right? Somebody cursed my wristbands. I meant to make a new set, and it kind of got a little muffed up, but it'll work. Cut some of the leather when I was trying to cut the wire pieces out that I don't use. I use an elastic instead of buckles to connect that. I'm not telling you that they don't have a way to do this in Pennsylvania, but it's not working like it did in Ohio. Because a lot less people live of that ilk in the city that I'm moving to. Cincinnati just made their phone calls. Yeah, we got it. The missionaries will look him up. But what does that mean, though? They'll stalk him. There's allegations of stalking, a lot of allegations of stalking against the LDS Church. They're real. Every one of those people is owed money. Every single one of those people that said the LDS Church stalked. Now, if they're just knocking on your door saying, "Have you heard the word of the Lord today?" Okay, that's one thing. But their allegations are stalking. Can't go shopping, can't go here, can't go there. They tried that here. But again, the cops are that bad here. Right. Oh, they need to go to prison a long time. Long time. These aren't little crimes. They're murdering. So they're affiliated, these churches are affiliated with narcotics distribution and sex trafficking. There's no doubt that's what these cops are affiliated with. And what do we have? We have multimillionaires from other countries buying a visa, right, and living here. But yet they're the real narcotics distributors, the real sex traffickers. but they're up above the level of arresting. That's how they play it. They probably tell you that your neighbor's an inventor, right? Makes his money off of inventions. He's an entrepreneur. In fact, they've got big people in their church. One of them came to speak here, lives right across the border in Mexico. I was trying to ask him, what do you live in Mexico? Right across the border. How do you survive? Well, he's probably affiliated with certain people. He's one of them got hinked out when I was talking to him. How do you enter the United States? You got a tunnel? Is that how you come across? Again, it's worth a look at. I don't know if you will. They may pay you all enough money where you don't do anything, but they take their donation scam. And I don't know, they may be trying to get 20% off me or 30% donation. Maybe if I increase my donation to the church at a certain point, it will go away. But that's what's wrong with everybody else that came before me. You paid these people. So now I have to fight the fight. The same thing as the Marshal Service and the government. I had to fight the fight against the deep state because you didn't have the place clean when I got there. Read, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Big research. All I know is, as soon as I am baptized and then they, do the next interview, the bishop ends with, "We're a family here. You're in now, and we'll take care of you." Now, I hope he wasn't saying that he was a mafia family. Correct. I don't think, but possibly. But extorting me isn't taking care of me. Correct. That was absolute extortion operation, racketeering, organized crime, probably most likely protecting the drug dealers and the sex traffickers. Oh, they got sex trafficking all over this location. No, it's massage more. We've already looked. Bullshit. Right. Who knows what else? I saw red lights. Right. That's one of the signs of prostitution at a red light. They still use it. Right. Make me some drink here, warm drink in the morning. What I like, the place I'm going is a little cooler. I looked in West Virginia. I was close, but it's still not as cool as it is going to get there. And it's not. It's like, this is how weird it is to go. If I go south to Martinsburg or whatever it's called, I think there's a BOP prison there. I had a sneeze. It's 20 degrees cooler, or 20 degrees warmer, or not 20. Darn, 2 degrees warmer. So I mean, it makes that much difference. So weird. It's not that much further south. So because apparently the weather patterns in that area, you could go a certain distance and it's warmer and more humid. Right. The place I selected gets a pretty good go for being the least humid. So the second day I used the first day I used the AI, spot on, intelligent being. The next day it was an idiot. It was giving me false information also on top of it, saying that you don't want to move to Pennsylvania because the whole place is humid. And there's no place that's less humid. Right. And then when they figured that wasn't working, I was onto their stuff because I started changing the search. It just wouldn't give me valid information. It's just like you have to research it. We don't. But I mean, the first day I did it, spot on. This location, that location. Which one's more muggy? This location, that location. Which one's cooler? This location, that location. Which one's more muggy? Bam, 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 all the way down. They hacked the AI. AI is a criminal. AI is a criminal. People running AI are criminals. Felonious criminals. Organized crime, racketeering, drug distribution, sex trafficking, definitely affiliated. Now the churches aren't doing anything good. They're the ones that caused the problem to begin with. In fact, they run around probably thinking black people have to be criminals because it's God's punishment on their community, right? Meanwhile, they project that as a spell and a curse. Well, I was a little. I didn't want to go to the LDS Church because I knew they had a racist history that I don't want to. I didn't want to be involved with. Right? Like, man, it doesn't sound. Some of their people might be okay, but I think. And I was kind of able to put that back behind me to, based upon a need to be in a church, and be with people, and I was probably wrong to do it. But again, I'm with God, and God looks around too. You aren't the only ones that go to Walmart looking around. So Peter Thiel is it could be Satan stance, but his topics and the things he's saying sound like he's trying to hide the Antichrist. Right. Question: does he really believe it, or does he see it as another way to get money?